Welcome to the UCLA Transactional Law Competition and Course. This video is the first video for students enrolled in the course, and it is also for students considering enrolling in the course and participating in the competition. My name is Sarah Koropkin. I teach the UCLA Transactional Law Competition course. I run the competition, and I also run the Interscholastic competition in the spring and teach contract drafting. So this is the video on transactional law competition. The agenda today is to introduce you to the class, to introduce you to the structure of the transactional law competition, and to set expectations for students for the course. So the learning objectives of this course, it's first of all to become familiar with the structure and provisions of a purchase agreement. This is a very high level view of what it might be like to be a transactional lawyer. It's to introduce you to the types of activities a transactional lawyer does, to understand the purpose of each section and how they work together to allocate risk and liability. Again, this is not a deep dive. This is not a substantive view of any of the provisions, but just a general understanding of how a transactional document works. There's also going to be an introduction to contract drafting, and then practicing what I call professional interpersonal skills, which means we're going to work in teams. And so you're going to develop skills to work with colleagues. You're going to be assigned a mentor who will help you to improve over the course of this, and hopefully who you will develop a relationship with. And then we're going to practice negotiation. So the class format. Like all courses at UCLA this fall, the class will be entirely remote. There will be no in-person component of the class or the competition. Most of the classes are asynchronous. That means that you can watch the pre-recorded videos anytime you wish, but the expectation is that you will do so in a manner to stay current with the syllabus. This means that at certain points, if you have not watch the videos, I may withhold information, and I reserve the right to drop anybody from the class who is not fairly caught up by September 11th, which is the last day to drop the class. We have some required live synchronous classes that are interactive. These are for contract drafting, and we're going to practice a negotiation with a negotiation simulation. And then there are some live synchronous classes that are optional. These are open sessions. Think of them like office hours, but maybe more interactive than normal office hours. The first two are for questions and just anything you want. As we go further through the course, once you've been assigned to teams, there will be open sessions for the seller side and open sessions for the buyer side, so that if you have questions about client information or the approach to the issues, you can come in and talk to me and others who are on the same side of the transaction. The syllabus lays out very clearly when classes are recorded, when they're live, when they're optional. So you should follow that. In addition, I will send out a weekly email detailing the expectations for the week and all deliverables that week. All live classes will be recorded and posted. Obviously, all recorded classes are already recorded and posted, and any accompanying PowerPoints will also be posted on MyLaw. All right, so credit for this class. It is a 1 credit, pass, no pass, experiential credit that you will receive. In order to receive credit, you must complete the recorded videos in a timely manner, participate in the live sessions unless excused, turn in all submissions in a timely manner, and the submissions must be completed with a reasonable degree of professionalism. That means that your draft and your markup agreement must reflect the kind of changes and ideas that I would expect a reasonable student just starting out to have made. So not 10 minutes before, but a somewhat thoughtful professional try. You must attend both the negotiation sessions on October 30th, and you must negotiate in at least one of those 2 negotiation sessions. All right, important dates. September 11th is the drop date. You must drop the class by September 11th, and in order to do so, I will assign mentors and teams on September 15th, and after that, I will not accept any drops. October 2nd and October 16th is an opportunity for students to ask questions of their client. These are written, they will be submitted in writing, and I will return answers on those. Those are optional but recommended. October 9th, draft agreements are due. October 23rd, markup agreements are due. And on October 30th, that is the day of the transactional law meet, which is mandatory. All right, so how does the competition work? So you will be placed on a team and assigned to represent either the buyer or the seller in the transaction. You're first going to draft portions of a purchase agreement, which we'll call the draft. You will then make comments on or mark up another team's draft agreement, which we'll call the markup. And then on the actual day of the competition, you will negotiate in 2 rounds. One round will be against the team whose draft you made comments on. The second round will be against the team who made comments or marked up your agreement. So in order to do this, we give you a lot of training. So course instruction is part of that, obviously. So our course instruction consists of course videos, which are posted on MyLaw. They are actually posted on MyLaw. When you click on them, it will take you to the UCLA main management system, I guess, that video management system, CCLE. You will have to log in again using your main campus credentials. My understanding is that you use those to do things like pay your bills and things like that. So just so you know, when you go to MyLaw, you will be redirected and then have to sign in to get to the actual course recording videos. That's because MyLaw doesn't support the kind of interactive quizzing that is embedded in the videos. We're going to have a session where we practice contract drafting, and then we're going to have a session where we practice negotiation. The course videos, just to go back to that, they cover basic transactional entity combinations, mergers and acquisitions combinations. They cover deal timeline and deal documents. And then each section of the purchase agreement has its own video, which goes through the section, what to expect, what to think about, how it works with other provisions. Secondly, we have the book, Make the Deal, Negotiating Mergers and Acquisitions. The book gives a lot of information on the different sections of the purchase agreement, how it works, and alternative drafting choices. Large portions of the competition are self-directed. If you do nothing other than the course instruction and the course itself, you will be fine. However, those who tend to get the most out of it dive deeper, get more into the issues, and are more self-directed in their learning. This is a class, it's a competition where you can do the minimum and be fine, or you can really go far into it and maybe excel and have a really great experience. So for self-directed, on MyLaw, I post a precedent of multiple types of precedent that might be useful in your drafting. I also post additional relevant training materials, largely taken from Bloomberg and Westlaw and Lexis, that I think might aid in your understanding of the main issues in the negotiation and in the transaction. But the world is open to you. Whatever you want to do, you are certainly welcome to do in this course. And then each team is assigned a mentor. Your mentor is there to help you. They are there to help you understand the issues, to review the draft agreements with you, and to review your markup agreements with you, and then to help prepare you for the negotiation. Oh, and just one quick note, the mentors are largely alumni, not entirely, but they are all people who practice generally in transactional practice and many in M&A specifically. All right, so the Student Information Survey. This is due on September 11th. This does ask a couple of different things. It asks you to give me background on you and your experience and what you hope to get from the course. And it also is what I use in order to form the teams. So to form teams, there are 2 options. The first option is to form your own team. If you know people who are in the class and you want to be on a team together, you'll put their names on the student information form, and I will do my best to accommodate that. I can't be perfect, and I don't make any promises that everybody will get their desires, but I will do my best. The best chance you have to get the team that you want is if everybody on your team puts the exact same people's names on their list. Sometimes I have a list, I have a situation where John, James, and Janet all have submits forms, and John says he wants Janet and Bill, and James says he wants John and Sharon, and Janet said she wants. So you see, it gets really confusing. So everybody has to be on the same one to be certain, but I'll do my best. Option 2 is you want to do the competition, you want to participate in the course, but you don't know anybody in the class, or you don't have somebody that you feel a strong connection that you want to be on a team with. That's fine. I will assign people to teams who don't form their own teams. And when I do that, you may be assigned to a team that has a team of choice. So if there are only 2 people, I may assign a third to that team. Or you might be assigned to a team of 3 people who all want to be assigned to a team. When I assign people, I try to balance the team. So I balance experience and interest and general experience, basically, which is why I asked for that other information there. All right, so once you're assigned to a team, that is the team you will work with for the remainder of the competition, and there are no exceptions. I do not move teams around or people around because they found out that so-and-so they didn't like was on their team. That's generally not going to happen. Each team member must negotiate for at least 1 round of the competition, and each team member must attend both live negotiation contract drafting sessions. All right, so on October 30th is the transactional law competition. There will be, this is a required aspect of the course. There is a recorded student orientation video that you must watch before, obviously, the actual competition itself. And then the rounds conduct as follows: 50 minutes of negotiation, and then each team will have 15 minutes of individual one-on-one time with the judges for debrief. And during that time, students can both talk to the judge about their expectations for where the negotiation was going, their strategy, what their intention was, and the judges will give feedback to the teams about what the judges think was the most effective, what could have been done better, the judges' understanding of the issues and how the team addressed them. There'll then be a break, and then round 2 will be conducted the same way. And then following that, there will be an online sort of reception, bring your own cocktail or coffee, and award ceremony. All right, so the available awards, there are 3 available awards: Best Draft, Best Negotiation, and Best Overall. 1 of each is available to each side, so seller's best draft, seller's best negotiation, etc. So your draft and your markup agreement are evaluated on 3 criteria. First, does it look professional? Is it free from typos? Is it well written? Is it formatted properly? Second, does it accurately reflect the objectives of the team as expressed in the client interviews and Q&A? The judges are given information about what the clients want. And then they look at the drafts and they say, is this a reasonable approach? Is this what I would expect given the criteria that the client provided? And then, is it a thoughtful approach? Is this reasonable under the circumstances? Is it what you would expect to see as a first draft going out to the client? All right, the award for best negotiation has 3 criteria: professional persona, understanding, and effectiveness. Your professional persona is, would you inspire confidence in the client? Do you have the respect of the other side? Were you articulate? Were you professional overall? Did you perform, act, conduct yourself in a way that they would expect a professional to do? What is your understanding of the issues? Did you understand your client's issues? Did you, and not just do you understand it, but do you conduct yourself in a way that manifests that you do understand the client's issues, that you understand the other side's issues? Do you prioritize appropriately, or do you get bogged down in minor issues? And then how effective were you? Did you achieve a resolution for your client that your client would want? If you didn't achieve a resolution, were you on your way to achieving that? And did you use your time effectively? How much overall did you move the ball in favor of your client? All right, so the award for best overall compares the relative performance of one team to another team on the same side. The idea here is that raw scores do not always indicate the best. One judge is 5, maybe another judge is 4. So in order to do that, we ask the judges to compare teams in a different way. So let me explain this. So Judge 1, in round 1, they see Team A for the buyer negotiate against Team C for the seller. In round 2, they witness Team B for the buyer versus Team D for the seller. For the best overall award, Judge 1 is asked to compare Team A buyer to Team B buyer. And Judge 1 will say they thought maybe Team A was better than Team B. And then they'll be asked to compare Team C to Team D. Again, maybe they thought, in this case, Team D was better than Team C. When we look at all the judges in every team that they've seen, and they get to choose between these dyads, then we get a score where we can understand which of the teams was the best overall. All right, so the Interscholastic Team, this is in the spring. UCLA hosts an interscholastic competition. We invite schools from all across the country. This year, the interscholastic competition will also be entirely remote and online. Teams for the interscholastic competition are selected in part based on performance in the fall intramural competition. Also, prior participation on the interscholastic team, and we are open to other people who are not in the competition, but generally a preference goes to people who've taken the fall intramural competition or who have participated in the intramural competition in the past. So in order to select you, we do it in part on group assessments. So how did your group do in the overall negotiation competition? How did they do on draft and markup? But realizing that group assessments may not effectively evaluate each person, we also ask judges to evaluate individuals during the negotiations. So in the negotiations, there will be 4 people negotiating, and the judges are asked to rank those 4 negotiators irrespective of which side of the transaction they are on, to give us, again, a better idea of individual performance as compared to others. So if you have any questions, please come to our class office hours on August 26th and September 2nd from 10 to 12. This is just normal class time and period, but because we have pre-recorded videos, I'm using them as the office hours. So come, see me, ask questions, introduce yourself, maybe talk to other people who are in the class, figure out who's going to be in the class. To get to class, you will use the Zoom link posted on MyLaw, and it is also in the syllabus. So we will use that Zoom link to get to class, both for the optional classes and for the required classes. The one exception is when we have sellers only and buyers only class periods, in which case I will send out new private links for those. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope to see you at the competition and to see you in class. And please stop by and let me know if you have any questions.